Welcome back to That Dad Guy. It is January 1st, 2024. We've made it to a new year, so we are going to do something a little new starting in this new year. Hey, if you notice in the back, That Dad Guy, that is one of my Christmas presents. I'm looking to see where I'm going to put it. I think I'm going to put it up on that wall right there. So thank you to my wife for having that made for me. So what's going to be new about this year? Well, we're going to have a Stamp of the Month video series. It's going to showcase one stamp or one series of stamps each month. And if you don't have them in your collection, you like them, and you want to add them to your collection, well, this stamp series is going to be in collaboration with Liverpool Stamps. So they have agreed once again and are excited to get on this project. If you go to liverpoolstamps.co.uk, you can check out all their inventory, but the Stamp of the Month, we might have something a little special for you on that, so keep watching till the end of the video and we'll talk. If you're finding this channel for the first time, before I get into it, make sure you subscribe, you like, you can leave positive comments, leave me pictures of your collection maybe, extra history facts that maybe I didn't know about these stamps, and just general positive comments to say keep going whether you like this type of series. I would love to hear back about that. Also, make sure you share it with other people in the community. The stamp community is fantastic. They're very supportive, they're very knowledgeable, and the more people that can watch these videos and help improve the channel and the quality, the better. So thank you so much for finding me. Let's get into today's Stamp of the Month video, and it's going to be about Victorian stamps. We're going to get into the exact stamps that we're talking about, but Victorian stamps are one of the most highly collectible series of stamps philatelists love to collect, whether it is only from Great Britain, whether it's from other Commonwealth countries. It is a great time. One of the great things about Victorian era stamps is, well, that's when stamps were invented. What's the Victorian era? Well, it is the time that Queen Victoria was on the throne in Great Britain. So from 1837 until 1901, she was the longest reigning monarch at the time, 63 years and 216 days, only to be later dethroned, as you may say, by Queen Elizabeth II, whose reign was a little bit longer than that. Now, Queen Victoria was the Empress of India. She was the grandmother of Europe because she had 9 children, and they went and married into all the other royal families. She had a kind of a stranglehold on what was going on at that period of time. She reigned in a very strict way in some ways, and also gave rise to republicanism a little bit in Great Britain during her time of mourning. But one of the things that stands clear is the invention of the postage stamp. People loved the penny black when that came out. Even a country like Canada, where I am, in 1867, when we became a country, we put out a stamp very similar to the penny black, also very beautiful collectible. And then that was followed by the penny red. People love to collect these stamps, get the whole sheet, get a line, get a corner. One of the things that makes them easy to collect and affordable to collect is there was tons of them made, first of all, but the lettering in the corners, you could tell exactly where in the sheet they were. And this format ran right up until the stamps that we're going to talk about today. The last stamp that had that format with the letters in it came out in 1883-84, and people did not like it, this lilac green one, and so they got on a mission to replace that stamp with what is now known as the Golden Jubilee stamps. That's what we're talking about today. 50 years on the throne for Queen Victoria, and she got these new stamps created that came out in 1887. Started as a set of 7 stamps that were bicolored and 5 that were monocolored. 14 stamps in total were used for Queen Victoria's Jubilee. They were originally designed as a set of 10 stamps, but they had 2 extra values that were later introduced, the 4.5 pence and the 5 pence stamp. There are also, if you like variations, there are variations, and we'll get to talk about those at a later time. But let's just talk about the stamps that came out first. So the very first one was this vermilion stamp, and it stayed right until 1900. 1900, they recreated that exact same stamp again, but in a green format because they changed the inks They changed the contracts, and so the vermilion couldn't say they went to this green one. And there is some variations in that green that you can only see under a UV light based on the inks that they used. The first stamp after that you're going to see that came out, they had a 1.5 pence stamp. You can see this is the first time that dual colors were used in stamps in Great Britain as well. The 2.5 pence stamp was enough value that it could be sent internationally. So if you're a collector of cancellations and you want to have foreign cancellations on a British stamp, you might see that on the 2.5. The 3 pence stamp that came out was a yellow, and it was the first set introduced in a color variety, including the 1/2 pence vermilion changing from a 1/2 pence green. So there you may want to look at variations if that's what you collect. When the 4 pence stamp came out, they came out in blocks. So some of these people collect the block of 4s. The 4.5 carmine was introduced in 1892 to pay double parcel rate. But the double parcel rate was reduced in 1897, so these stamps went away as they no longer had use. The 6 pence stamp that came out in a purple on red paper was another stamp printed on colored paper. So not only did you have the 3 pence stamp, but now you have the 6 pence stamp that are colored on different paper. Very collectible as well, and beautiful looking stamps, I might say. The 10 pence carmine introduced in 1890 had a range of shades from deep carmine to scarlet. So there, once again, you get one of them in your collection. You may want to add a few others too because of the variations that you're going to find. The 1 sterling stamp that came out was the only one that doesn't have numbers on it. They wanted to make it different, so they did it in letter format, writing along the bottom that it was the 1 sterling. It makes it very unique. Also a beautiful stamp to add to the collection. The 1/2 penny changed from the vermilion to green because of the inks that I said earlier on. Now these Queen Victoria Jubilee stamps stayed on. After she passed away in 1901, King Edward VII became king. Because he was King Edward VII. He became king, but the stamps that stayed on for him are still known as the Jubilee stamps because they stay in the same shape, they stay in the same format. So introducing today, as we talk about the Queen Victoria Jubilee stamps, we're going to get into talking about the King Edward VII Jubilee at a later date. But in the stamp of the month that I have here, both of those are included. And so if you go to liverpoolstamps.co.uk and you put in the discount code TDGJAN, so that stands for That Dad Guy January. So TDGJAN, you're going to get 25% off these stamps. Any of these stamps you want to add to your collection that you don't already have, or variations thereof, this is going to be the great month to do that. Like I said, there's going to be another video coming out later in the month. We're going to talk a little bit more about the Edward VII stamps in that. I'm also going to talk about some of the variations that you can collect, because part of stamp collecting is thematic. You can do it by themes. Whether you want to collect roosters, whether you just want to collect ships, or whether you just want to collect Queen Victoria stamps, you can do that, or King Edward VII stamps, you can do that. That is the beauty of the stamp collection. It doesn't have to be this way only or that way only. Collect how you want to collect. That is the best way to do it. Collect what you can afford. Collect what comes natural. Where can you get these stamps? The great thing about the internet these days is that the world is so much closer. In the past, you might have had to go to your local stamp show to find stamps. Maybe you had a store that actually did collectibles like that. The stamp community is global, and there are great places like Liverpool Stamps Online that you can go to now to fill out your collection that maybe you didn't have the opportunity. When my father collected, there wasn't a whole lot of that online community yet. So he had to make use with trading with other people or going to a stamp show and hopefully finding dealers that had what he needed. now we've got this. And every month we are going to focus on something new that maybe you want to add into your collection. Maybe something that you didn't know existed yet. I know sometimes you kind of get influenced by what you see other people have in their collections. Well, I'm going to show you some of the stamps that are in my father's collection from this time frame. And they're not in the best shape. But like I said earlier, he did collect what he could get his hands on, and so not always the best condition ones. So we have these stamps here as examples of some of the ones that were in my father's collection, and now maybe we'll have some opportunities to fill in some of the gaps. All right, well, I hope this is super informative for you. It was a great time frame to collect. There are lots of beautiful stamps, and I know I'm going to have lots more to show you going forward. But here in the month of January, we are going to talk about the Jubilees, of the Golden Jubilees of Victoria, and we're going to get into talking about the Jubilees of King Edward VII as well in a future video, so stay tuned for that. Until then, have a magical week.
What, Polo? You say like, subscribe, share, and tell all your friends?
Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy?
Bye.